Hi there, I'm Krista Goncalves, certified holistic nutritionist, former fitness trainer and boot camp company owner turned copywriter and brand strategist for other health professionals and wellness entrepreneurs. First, I really want to thank Nicole and her amazing team for giving me the opportunity to present and share in the How She Does It monthly speaker series. So very exciting. I think it's fantastic that Nicole is doing so much herself to help create a global movement of empowered women in business and has joined forces and is collaborating with so many of those incredible women to make an even bigger impact. But the pleasure is truly all mine, and I do hope that by sharing my own entrepreneurial journey with you of how I made a rather huge leap from health practitioner to wellness business mentor, that you'll come to understand that each and every journey is not only unique, but it's a path that each of us have to walk in order to build the business of our dreams, and one that is truly life-changing. I'm not saying that it's going to be a smooth path either, nor are there any true overnight successes, as you might have read online, or so it seems from, that person that you're following on Instagram. There are many speed bumps along the way, which are going to manifest differently for everyone. But if you stay the course, learn to adapt to the many, many impedances that will pop up, usually when you least expect them to, you will get the results and experience the success that you desire and that you deserve. So I think the best place for me to start is when I had already been running my nutritional consulting practice for about 5 years in an offline, brick and mortar setting, to when I decided that I was done with one-to-one in-person consulting. My focus had been women's health and hormones, and after living, eating, sleeping, breathing nothing for most of that time, or nothing else, I was completely burnt out, to put it simply. Turns out I had been the one struggling with hormonal chaos, and this looked like dysfunctional adrenals, hypercortisolism, and hypothyroidism. These are many of the health issues I had been counseling my nutrition clients on, doing workshops on locally, and what had also been staring me right in the face for months, possibly even years. And it's exactly how it sounds too. Pooped out adrenals, continually jacked up cortisol levels, and a poorly functioning thyroid, which all left me physically exhausted, mentally fogged, an emotional hot mess, not to mention overweight, not recognizing my own body or my face in the mirror, and absolutely zero sex drive. That's probably a little too much information, but I think you ladies may know what I'm talking about. Needless to say, I felt like a complete fraud in my nutrition business when I was supposed to be dispensing health advice and trying to help other women shed their extra pounds that I couldn't seem to get a handle on myself. So I gave up my online nutrition practice and decided to go 100% virtual. Was this because I was maybe looking for a place to hide? That could very well be it if we were to really pull apart the decision at the time, but that goes into a slightly different direction. So when I started my 100% online virtual business, I didn't have a clue how or where to start, and I was also back at home with my kids full time. I decided the best place to start was a blog, don't we all? So I originally called this Making Lemonade, because through a number of setbacks in my own health, those lemons life likes to throw at you, I pretty much said, F it, I'm just gonna make lemonade. And that was the start of my blog named Making Lemonade. But how did I turn this into a successful business? Making Lemonade with Krista Goncalves is now the name of my business, because from its infancy as a women's health blog, I grew pretty attached to it actually, and a personal brand really was squeezed from it. See what I did there? But how did I go from, just a blog and make it into an honest to goodness business with legs? It was when I stopped treating my blog like a hobby. I'm sure you've heard that before, but I decided once and for all, this blog was going to generate a profit. I didn't quite know how. So I did sit down, went to work devising my strategy, and created an actual business plan for making lemonade. This included an entire digital platform that would be the home of a virtual nutrition consulting practice, as well as some downloadable products like meal plans and health guides. So this new virtual-based consulting business worked out really well. It even thrived for a year and a bit. I was really busy with new clients, some from right across the globe, which was really interesting to me to have clients from everywhere but where I was actually from, in Kelowna, BC, Canada. So that was kind of thrilling. That was exciting. And I was really enjoying creating new products like the downloadable guides for health seekers. It did also become apparent to me that I had a real knack for writing and enjoyed it the most in my business. In fact, I would get up and really look forward to writing, whereas most people turn their nose up at it and don't enjoy it quite as much as I do. But you knew there was a but coming. There was something that still wasn't jiving for me, and I kept thinking that I just wasn't fulfilling my true purpose. And then the answer struck me the day that I took on a new client. She was a woman in her early 30s who was struggling with adrenal dysfunction. Yay, more hormones! But she was also a nutrition student. And she asked if she could pick my brain one day. You know how you love it when people do that. After we had wrapped up our nutrition counseling session, I was shocked, and because I was so surprisingly eager to have my business brain picked for a change. After all, I had learned so much over the previous 5 years as a nutritionist, and had had an exceptionally steep learning curve when I transitioned from my offline, brick and mortar business to an entirely online one. I like to say that I come from a place of what not to do in business, especially online wellness business. I have found it to be such a fickle, crowded space, but I've never concealed the fact that it was and continues to be an exceptional challenge to navigate for my own business. And in case you've experienced it for yourself, the online world, it seems to change daily. The rules change daily. So armed with my new experience and knowledge and this newfound passion that had been ignited, I felt like I had much to offer this up-and-coming nutrition professional. And that was the beginning. So I would say that my big movement in the world and my true purpose in business and in life is to help other women entrepreneurs, specifically in the health and wellness space that I'm so just passionate and invested in, to get their businesses started or take them to the next level without so much confusion, frustration, lack of confidence, and from developing a nasty case of comparisonitis as I did. The thing is, when a brand new health pro, whether that's a nutritionist, dietitian, naturopath, chiropractor, massage therapist, energy worker, or even a fitness pro, gets out of school, finishes their coursework, they're handed their piece of paper that deems them a bona fide health pro, they don't usually know the first thing about running a business. I know I didn't, and I'm now on my 4th business, and I still feel like I have so much to learn. And business owner is the other hat that you have to wear, but yet you aren't taught business or digital marketing principles in school, whether you have an online or an offline business. I do see this changing though, and I really hope it continues to in the future, and more business principle and foundational work is learned in school and coursework for health professionals. So that has quite literally become my mission, to empower new and seasoned health and wellness business owners alike to rise to the level that they're meant to take their businesses, and to shine in all the ways that they're meant to shine and make an impact in this world. But I think what that really translates to is that many of the women I work with also have families, much like myself, and they're trying to balance their home lives with building a business. I know this to be an exceptionally daunting task, as I myself experienced multiple health issues due to the stress and overwhelm of it all. So ultimately, at the heart of what I do, and probably in my own heart, is to help female entrepreneurs navigate the challenges of building their wellness businesses while still having a life and keeping their health intact. Because it's not an easy thing. I have been there, I have done that, I am, feel like I'm through the other side of it. But again, you knew there was a but in there. This leads me to sharing what my greatest failures are, my big mistakes, and what I learned from them, what lessons I took from them. So where do I start in my long list of things I would do differently? I'll admit that it's hard not to sit and ruminate on all of my past mistakes, but this just fuels limiting beliefs and keeps you stuck. Again, been there, done that. So I've learned to take my biggest mistakes and turn them into my most valuable lessons. And as I mentioned, I truly come from a place of what not to do in business. Among the things that I've learned since I made the transition from an offline to an online nutrition business, and then a year later when I transitioned from being a nutritionist who served women health seekers to a business mentor, brand strategist, and copywriter, as I mentioned, who now serves other health practitioners, are probably these three standout lessons. So, number one, trying to do it all yourself and keeping up the appearance of a one-woman show. That just spells burnout in a heartbeat. So the lesson there is get the help you require. Not every business task is going to be in your wheelhouse. In fact, learning how to run a business may seem like a different language to you at first. Don't make the same mistake I did thinking you can do everything yourself, and that if you just watch this webinar and that YouTube video, and if you just buy this course and download that free guide, that you'll have it all figured out in no time and your business will be booming within a few months. I urge you to find a business mentor who understands your industry and who's been where you are. And that's always a good starting point. And I really wish I had sought out more support people much sooner. So once you've got that solid business plan in place, you've started the foundations of your business, then consider hiring support people to take on the tasks that are not in your, zone of genius, as you might have heard that term. For me, that is social media management and a lot of the techie behind the scenes stuff that goes on in my business in order for it to run smoothly on a day-to-day basis. So number two, great big giant mistake, thinking that a digital marketing strategy wasn't necessary, and that included building a strong presence on social media, putting myself out there, and showing up every day. I absolutely loathed having to be on social media at all, actually, and have always disliked having pictures of myself taken. I also thought that writing well-researched, really very entertaining blog posts was quite enough, as in write it and they will come. Nope, it just doesn't work that way. Just because you write something doesn't mean anyone is going to read it. You have to spend about twice as long promoting your content as you did writing it. Big lesson. So the takeaway is to learn about digital and content marketing, and or find someone who does know about it and can help you develop and execute. Action is everything. A strategy that works for your particular business, and not one that seems to be working for someone who, by all appearances, is just crushing it on Instagram. And I'll just add that appearances can be deceiving. We'll leave it at that. So another really big mistake, number 3, is trying to compete instead of collaborating with peers, or those who I personally would have deemed as my competition under normal circumstances, especially in the wellness business space. So the lesson I learned was just taking a leap, which felt like a calculated risk, I suppose, and connecting with more people in my industry, even those who were doing really similar, if not the exact same work as I was, and who I may have previously looked at as a mentor. Connecting with those people, reaching out to them at the very least, making, just establishing some sort of rapport could create leverage in my business. And that's precisely what I did. So this came in the form of connecting both on and offline, which led to being connected with and referred to other people in their circles, some of whom became clients. It has been a huge source of client referral for me personally. List building or list sharing opportunities, also guest posting and broadening your content, having it distributed further, farther, wider, which in turn builds up your authority and gets your name out there. So many, many ways that collaboration can help you build your business, and something I wish I had have done from day one. So those were the top 3 mistakes. Again, that list is very long, but those are definitely the standout lessons that I've learned since being, especially in this current business, that I would change right out of the gate, because I do see how much each of those things really held me back. And it was almost like I was trying to build a business while functioning purely in a state of fear. I'm gonna have a little sip here. So that said, how do I get through the hardest moments in business? Well, after I allow myself to move into hot mess mode for just a short time, I do some deep breathing exercises and a little introspection exercise with myself, which may result in taking some extra time for self-care and time with my family. I also evaluate why it felt so hard, whatever that was that came up and challenged me that day or that week or that month or that year, and how I'm going to deal with it if and when it comes up again. I've learned to give myself permission to, just feel all the feels, but then move on from it and get past it rather than wallow in it and further fuel my own limiting beliefs that I'm not good enough. I'm not going to achieve success like so-and-so crushing it on Instagram, as I would have absolutely done a few years ago. So it's been a little bit of work to get there, but it can really move you past and see you through those speed bumps that are invariably going to show up in your business. I'll also add that while my family brings me the greatest joy, they're also one of my biggest challenges in my business life. As I mentioned, I do work from home. So that leads me to sharing how I manage my business and my family life. This is something that comes up a lot for my own clients and many other female entrepreneurs. Male entrepreneurs, of course, but women being often the caregivers and the runner-arounders. This has always been a tough one for me personally, because I am such a busybody to begin with, and I've owned my own business since before I had kids. Then 2 kids came along. Well, they're now 10 and 7. And the funny thing about little people is that they need you and they take up so much of your time and your energy. And then there's your partner who needs a piece of your time and energy. And the list of commitments and responsibilities to family and to community, it goes on and on. So how do I manage it all? It really lies in my non-negotiables. And that's what I call them. But they've become my habits for success. So these are my morning routine and some other non-negotiables like daily exercise. That's, these are the things that I can attribute to getting shit done. Sorry. And are the underpinnings of the success that I feel I've had in my business, especially over the past year, when I finally made a hard line where my non-negotiables were concerned. So during my morning routine, where I get up really early, grab my coffee, which may or may not be bulletproof, and I start writing like a madwoman. That's usually what's happening. And it's that time and starting my day like that really allows me to have a sense of balance in the management of my business and my family life. So funny as it may sound, or horrifying to non-morning people, getting up really early and getting a chunk of work under my belt, or sometimes getting a workout in, I tend to interchange them, has honestly been a game changer this past year. I feel more accomplished by 9 a.m. than I previously would have in a random no routine day by say 4 p.m. And having a pre-established routine has become like my everything. Live and die by it. I don't even know if I could do it any other way now, especially with my busy family life where, again, kids need to be chauffeured around everywhere after school and on the weekends and so on with family life. But you're probably still wondering what has really moved the needle for me in my business and what's working for me like right now, today. There's two things that keep coming back to me, and they blossomed, they bloomed from my failures that I just talked about. So these two things that give me like, a palpable forward movement. I feel like wheels are in motion if I have these two things in place, and they work like a hot damn for me. And that is, again, collaborating with other business owners. And that's just as I'm doing right here with the How She Does It Masterclass series. So it's perfect to talk about it. And I gave you all those reasons why it can work in your favor in your business and why you should be connecting with more people in your industry. Can't recommend it and suggest it to you more. The other thing for me was hiring a VA, so a virtual assistant, and also a social media manager. Now, I was so lucky to find someone who does both. She is amazing, and it has freed up so much time to focus on what really needed my attention, which was my own projects. As much as I love working directly with clients and producing just kick-ass content for them, my own projects went completely by the wayside, and my true vision for my business wasn't being realized. So outsourcing is gonna feel like just one more thing that you have to spend money on in your business. But from my experience, it is worth every penny when you connect with the right support person. It's an investment today in your success tomorrow. And I mean that. So those are the two things that have really allowed me to take things to the next level and what are literally working for me today. So thank you again for allowing me to share my entrepreneurial journey with you. I find that when you tell your story, it can serve as a reminder of just how far you've come, and is proof that everyone has a starting point and a completely unique path to walk. So the biggest take-home piece that I want to leave you with is this thing. Please don't compare your year one to someone else's year 3, year 4, 5, and so on. This was one of my biggest sticking points when I first started all 4 of my businesses. It was constantly playing the comparison game with my peers. Notice I didn't say competition. There is massive learning, change, growth that happens from one year to the next, and even happens from 1 month to the next. For example, I'm now going into year 3 of my current business, and it's virtually unrecognizable from my fledgling business in year 1 and from my first client, who was another health practitioner rather than a health seeker, as I had been so accustomed to for the previous 5 years. It was nerve-wracking at first to start writing for and mentoring my own peers and colleagues, and now it just feels good and like I was meant to do this kind of work, like I'm finally fulfilling my purpose. And I want you to feel like that too, which I know you can, and I know you will. I do hope you've been able to pluck maybe just a few nuggets from my experiences, and I really look forward to connecting with you in the future as well. Thank you again to Nicole and her team. What you're doing is amazing, and I am so happy to be part of it. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day. Bye now.